Good day everyone. Welcome to the Azure Data Factory Series. In today's video, we are diving deep into mastering the self-hosted integration runtime. Whether you are looking to optimize your data workflows or integrate on-premises data with the cloud, this video will guide you through all the essentials and benefits of using self-hosted integration runtime in Azure Data Factory. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth tutorials and tips. Your support really helps us bring you the best content. Let's get started. The self-hosted integration runtime is a data integration component in Azure Data Factory that allows you to move the data between on-premise data sources and Azure data services. It acts as a bridge between your on-premise environment and the cloud, enabling secure data transfer and data integration. Let's discuss about the key features of self-hosted integration runtime before we get into the demo with regards to self-hosted integration runtime. Self-hosted integration runtime is installed on an on-premise machine or a virtual machine within a private network. It enables the transfer of data from on-premises sources like SQL Server, Oracle, or file systems to Azure data services such as Azure Blob Storage, Azure SQL Database, etc. It supports data transformation tasks in conjunction with Azure Data Factory's mapping data flows. SHIR facilitates secure connection to on-premise data sources, ensuring that sensitive data is protected during transfer. So in the Azure Data Factory Data Studio, so let's click on Manage here, and then let's go to the integration runtime here. And then what we'll do is let's click on New here. And then we will click on this Azure Self-Hosted, and then let's click on Continue. And here, last time in our last video with regards to Azure Integration Runtime, we used this setup. But now, since it is going to be Self-Hosted Integration Runtime, let's select this one and then click on Continue. Yep. So let's give a name here. So let's give it as SHIR, and maybe we will give it as on-premise here. Yeah. So underscore is not allowed, so let's give it this way. And if you want, you can provide the required description here. Yeah. So I'm not going to give any description, so let's click on Create here. And as soon as we have clicked on it, we are getting an option here to do an express setup or perform a manual setup. So I just clicked on it and then copied the link here. And then what I'll do now, I will go to the server, the on-premise server, and then I will open an Edge browser, and then I will try going to that particular link and download the required executables. Here we go. We have this Microsoft Integration Runtime here. So what we'll do now, let's click on Download. And then what we'll do is we will select the latest one here, which is 5.44.8993. It is always good to go with the latest one, because what happens is the latest one will have good amount of bug fixes and performance improvements packages. So it is always better to go with the latest one. So I'm going with this one. Let's click on download. And once the download completes, what we'll do is we will start the installation. I will pause this video till the download completes. Once it completes, I will resume the video back. Download is completed. Let's open the file now. Click on Next. Accept the license agreement. I will use the default location, C drive program files, and then let's start the installation. Installation is going to take some time. So what I'll do is I will pause this video and resume it back once the installation is completed. Installation is still going on. Installation completed fine. Let's click on finish. So we have um, the Microsoft Integration Runtime Configuration Manager here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the authentication key, and then I'm going to put it here and register this particular on-premise server. Yep. So let me copy this, then go back to the server. So I have pasted it here. So I'm just going to click on register here. So if you see here, we can see that the integration runtime self-hosted node name is SHIR1. This is my server name. So SHIR on-premise is the integration runtime that we have created, and SHIR1 is the current new node. Yeah, let's head back to the Azure portal here, and then now what we'll do is like we will click on this nodes here, and we need to give some time for this to take effect. So let's wait for a couple of minutes, and then let's see if we can see that SHIR1 coming under the nodes here. Okay, so still we are not able to see that. Now, if we see here, we are basically seeing that the status is unavailable, so it is still getting registered. So let's give it some more time. Yeah. Okay, so the registration is going on. Let's wait for it to complete. So once you have keyed in the required authentication key, you just need to click on the register, and then now you have this message here, which basically tells like integration runtime, self-hosted node has been registered successfully. And also there is a note, you can associate up to 4 physical nodes with a self-hosted integration runtime. This enables high availability and scalability for the self-hosted integration runtime. So now what we will do, we will go with a single node in this video for the high availability and scalability. What we'll do is like in another video in future, we will bring in one more node. Yeah, so bringing in more than one node, what it is going to do is like, let's say if one of the nodes goes down, then the other node will be able to take over the things instead of everything going down. That is your ADF basically relies on this integration runtimes SHIR to bring the data from the on-premise. And in case if you have one node and if that one node goes down, then your ADF will not be able to process anything. Now, if you have more than one node, then in case if one node goes down, the other one can take over. So at max, you can have 4 nodes to support your SHIR. Yeah, it is not just for reliability; it is for the scalability also. Like what happens is like when you run some huge workload, then for any incoming workloads, you will be able to share the available integration runtime nodes as far as the resources are concerned. Instead of having one node, all the resources goes from that node. But if you have multiple nodes, you are going to share the load among these nodes. That way, the performance will also be improved. Yeah, let's head back to our um, uh, Azure portal, and then let's click on refresh and let's see what happens. So if you see here, the SHIR on-premise, that is the self-hosted integration runtime, is registered now. Let's go to these nodes, and if you can see here, we have this SHIR1, that is a server name where we downloaded and installed that software, and the status is running, and you have the IP address, and limit concurrent jobs is set to 14. So that means like at any point in time, a node will be able to support 14 concurrent jobs. Yeah. So you can bring in more nodes. Right now, SHIR1 is there. You can add more nodes, up to 4 nodes. And then in case you have concurrency issues as far as the number of jobs are concerned, then you will be able to change that one as well. But again, all these things require some sort of a testing wherein you can't just change these values blindly. Yeah. So we have other options here, auto update. So it is right now enabled, and sharing. If you want to share this with other resources, then you will be able to use this particular option. Yep, so you have this integration runtime for this ADF. But if you want to share with another ADF, then you can use it via here. I'm not going to do anything of that sort right now. So right now it is all set here. So we have this SHIR enabled. So let's head back to the server and then let's look at other things there. So let's launch the configuration manager here. Yeah. So for troubleshooting purpose, if you want to restart the service, you can go ahead and do it, and you have the option here to stop and start it. If you want to generate the backup and then just for DR purpose, if you want to save all these things, you can do it. And then you have the settings. For example, if you want to allow it to the internet, then in case if you have any proxy, then you can add those proxy here. Yeah, in a secure environment, you will not be having internet connection inside the server. And just in case if you require, and in case if you have a requirement, then you can use the proxy to allow that. Yeah, and you have the diagnostics here. And the most important thing that I would at least use is like to test the connection. So on the server, I have a SQL instance installed. So let me try a connection to that SQL instance and then see if it works. Yeah, that this connection works or not. Let's see. SQL server. So you have this many data source types, like it can connect to Oracle DB2, MySQL, Postgre, Sybase, Teradata, or you can use ODPC and others as well. Yeah. So server is going to be SHIR1. I have a database called JBDB. So let me key in there, and then I will use a basic, and then it's basic is basically your SQL authentication. Yeah. You can use Windows authentication also, but I'm going to use SQL authentication. So let me key in the password and then let's do a test. So this would be the first form of test to make sure your SHIR is working. And now that the test connection succeeded, I'm all set to go forward. So any access from this server to any other on-premises resources, you will be able to use the ADF and connect to it and get the data across. One thing to keep in mind is like if you head back to the Azure portal and then go to this SHIR. Now on the nodes, if you see here, we have these many service URLs. Yeah, all these things needs to be whitelisted as far as when you install this SHIR on an on-premise server. So right now we are doing everything on a lab machine, so we don't have any issues. But in a real environment, as far as a production environment is concerned, we will have to basically whitelist certain URLs uh, and ports. Yeah, so right now you see there are so many things ends with servicebus.windows.net. So we have this article here which basically clearly tells what you need to do, firewall requirements for on-premise or private network. So if you see here, start.servicebus.windows.net, the following table provides outbound ports and domain requirements for the corporate firewall. So these things you will have to deal with it. Yeah, instead of um, 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 whitelisting each and everything, you can do these things here. So you can have a look on this article and then you need to do it. Yeah, so that is something that is very, very required before even planning to implement SHIR. Yeah. Okay, now what we'll do, let's create a pipeline and then make sure that we are able to um, use this SHIR and then get the data from this particular database, SHIR1 instance, JBDB database, and see if SHIR works for us. Yeah. Let's create a link services to the on-premise database server, which is SHIR. So now here I will click on database and then I will see for SQL server. Yeah. So we have the SQL server here. Yeah. So let's click on continue and then let's name it as SHIR1 on-prem SQL Server. Yeah. So I, we need to use underscore here. So let's use an underscore. Yep. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to use the SHIR on premise. Yeah. And the server name, we know that it is SHIR1 and the database is JVDB. Yep. So let's fill that up here. SHIR1 and the database is JVDB. And SQL authentication, it's always good to use Windows authentication or user assigned managed identity. But right now, I'm going to use SQL authentication. Even for SQL authentication, instead of providing the passwords directly, you can use the Azure Key Vault. We will create a separate video for that, but right now we will provide the things as is, like we will provide the username and password here. Still, you'll not be able to see the password, but still it is always good to uh, create it in the Azure Key Vault to be more secure. Yeah. So we will trust the certificate here, yeah, and then let's do a test connection and see if it completes fine. So the connection is successful. So let's click on create. So now if you see here, we have this SHIR1 on-prem SQL server using the SHIR integration runtime created. So let's create a new pipeline and then see if we can use our integration runtime, that is the self-hosted integration runtime, and if it works fine. Yeah. So let's click on new and then click on pipeline, and let's name this pipeline as df underscore shir underscore data movement. What we'll basically do is like we will move the data from the on-premise SQL server. We will query it and then we will move that as a CSV file onto an Azure data storage. Yeah, that's what we are going to do. So let's click on this move and transform, and then let's use this copy data. Now let's click on this copy data. Let's go to this source here. So now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on new year and I'm going to select SQL Server. Azure SQL database is not something that I'm going to use. I'm going to use on-premise SQL. So let's go to database here to even search for things a little easier. So click on SQL Server, click on continue, and then let's use the link service. The link service that we are going to use, the one that we created, which is SHIR1 on-premise SQL Server. Yeah. So if you can see here, it is showing in green. So now if you see here, it is showing us showing that we have three tables here. If you go back to the on-premise server and you click on this, you'll be able to see three tables, and that is what we are seeing in the portal as well. Yeah. So we have selected this table one. I'm not going to do anything as far as other things are concerned. I'm just going to leave it as default and click on OK here. Yeah. And then what we'll do is like once this gets completed, what we'll do is like we will move on to other things. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this preview data, and then just going to see if we are able to see the data inside that table. So if you can see here, we are able to view the data as well. Yeah. So now you can select the required things here. Query timeout, which is here the default value is 2 hours, 120 minutes. Isolation level, you can select whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to select read uncommitted. Depending upon your business requirement, you can change the things here. Read uncommitted will lead to dirty read, so that is something that you need to keep in mind. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is like I've selected the required things here. Okay, so we are going to use this use query table, but you can also use query here and then provide the required details, because if you use table, all the data will be moved, But for example, if you have a scenario where you just need to export required columns only, then you can use this query. But in my case, I'm going to use table here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on sync, and then I'm going to copy this into this target container. Yeah. And here, what I'll do is like, if you see here, this is using an Azure IR. Doesn't matter here for me because the data that I'm going to take from the on-premise is using the SHIR. So now it is going to, once the data is retrieved, it will be moved on to the storage account, which requires an SHIR, which requires an Azure IR. You can still use SHIR, but SHIR will be kind of not that great as far as the performance is concerned, as far as the Azure resources are concerned. Yeah, so it is always better to use Azure IR for Azure resources. Yeah, so copy behavior, we have these options. I'm going to select preserve hierarchy. That is, whatever hierarchy we have on the source, that will be maintained on the target as well. Yeah. So I'm going to leave everything else as a default here. Yeah. So what we'll do now, we will save this. Before saving, let's click on open here, and then if you see here, the file path is source here. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to change that. Yeah. And then I will use this one just to make sure like my file path is in target. Yeah. And file name, what I'll do is like, I will give it as df underscore 27 August 2024.csv. Yeah. And then I will publish these things here. Let's wait for the publishing to complete. Okay, so the publishing is completed. Now what we'll do is like, we will go to this target container, and then let's do a refresh. So we don't have any files called df underscore 27 August 2024. Yeah. So now what I'll do is like, I will validate it once. Yeah. Everything looks good. So let me close this, and then let's go to the one that we have created, which is df shir underscore data movement, and then let's trigger it now. So let's see if it is going to complete fine or if it is going to fail, and then we'll take it from there. So let's refresh it. It's queued now. So let's wait for it to proceed. So if you can see here, it is basically telling like it has succeeded. Yeah, let's click on the details. Then if you see here, it basically tells like data read is this much, 166 bytes, and data written is 126 bytes. Rows read is 8 and rows written is 8. So if you see here, the data read is 166, but the data written is 126 bytes. Yeah, but the rows read and rows written seems to be same, so everything looks okay. So now what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to go to the target container and then do a refresh, and if you can see here, we have the data written here. Yeah, so everything looks good, and we have successfully created the SHIR. We installed it on an on-premise server, and then we tested the connection there, and then we created a pipeline wherein we moved some data from on-premise to Azure storage. So now what we'll do is like, let's discuss about some advantages and disadvantages of SHIR. Yeah, now that we know how to implement it, let's discuss on the advantages and disadvantages also. Let's first start with the advantages of using self-hosted integration runtime. Yeah, data transferred between the on-premise environment and the cloud is encrypted, ensuring data security. SHIR does not require opening inbound ports on your firewall, reducing security risk. It supports a wide range of on-premises data sources, including databases, file systems, and more. It can access local network resources that are not exposed to the internet, providing seamless integration with existing systems. Utilizes a local network connection for transferring data, which can be faster and more efficient than transferring data over the internet. It can handle large volumes of data and scale based on the needs of your data integration workflows. There are no additional costs for using self-hosted integration runtime beyond your Azure Data Factory usage, making it a cost-effective solution for the setup of SHIR. Yeah. Uh, SHIR setup is straightforward, involving the installation of a lightweight software component on your on-premises server. Once installed, SHIR can be managed through the Azure Data Factory portal, providing a unified interface for monitoring and configuring. It's ideal for hybrid data integration scenarios where data needs to be moved between on-premises and cloud environment. Let's now discuss about disadvantages of self-hosted integration runtime. You need to manage and maintain the server where SHIR is installed, including applying updates, patches, and ensuring the server's availability. And this is going to be a bigger challenge. Yeah. Now, even though you are in Azure PaaS services and most of the services are evergreen, but when you use SHIR, this needs to be taken care. You need to periodically update the patches, upgrade the SHIR itself, and things like that. So that is something that you need to keep in mind before implementing. SHIR consumes resources like CPU, memory on the host machine, which can impact other applications running on the same server. That is something that you need to uh, keep in mind. For example, you can implement it on jump server, but you need to ensure like you have high availability for that. So you need to bring in multiple jump servers and also ensure that the server spec is comparatively good to take care of your workload. Yeah. Although SHIR does not require inbound ports, you still need to ensure that outbound network traffic is properly configured and SHIR can communicate with the Azure Data Factory. Data transfers are subject to network latency, which can affect performance, especially with large data sets or if the on-premises network is very slow. If the SHIR server goes down or experiences issues, it can disrupt data integration workflows until the server is restored or an alternative SHIR is configured. This is where the high availability and scalability of SHIR comes in, wherein you need to add additional nodes. For example, you need to have at least 2 nodes, and you can have to maximum you can have 4 nodes. Yeah. The performance of SHIR is limited by the resources of the host machine, that is the CPU, memory, and disk. Large-scale data movement or transformation tasks might require more powerful hardware or multiple SHIR instances. Unlike cloud-based services, scaling up SHIR requires manually provisioning more powerful hardware or additional instances, and this is going to have some downtime, and also like you will have its own cost involved because you provisioned the server first. Now you're moving on to a new server, so you basically have to keep that in your mind. While SHIR encrypts data in transit, you still need to ensure that the host machine is secure and that appropriate security measures are in place. If the SHIR server is compromised, there is a risk of data exposure, although SHIR itself does not expose data directly to the internet. The initial configuration of SHIR can be complex if you have a large or complicated on-premise network environment. Diagnosing and troubleshooting issues related to SHIR might require additional expertise and can be more challenging compared to fully managed cloud services. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Jai Hind.